Now, the African National Congress's decision to pardon the mayor of Matjhabeng in Welkom in the Free State after his racist comments during the first week of the lockdown has angered many in the Free State town of Bronville. Before I introduce my next guest, let's take a listen to exactly what the mayor of Bronville says. Just a warning to our viewers, this is racist language that is being used and could act as a trigger.
That's why my surname is Spielman. So Bronville is going to give me a little bit headache. If yet most partay van the Guzmaneke feel some chances. So don't hesitate. I talked to them yesterday, close them, they get out, they drink again. So what they want, go there and show that you are here as a soldier. But I think I'll work with you as whilst you are here. I hope you'll stay here more or less 2 years. I'll appreciate it. So I'll appreciate it to stay.
Of course, that is the mayor there in his own words. More shockingly, of course, the ANC has decided that his comments were not harmful enough for him to be axed from the party. Well, the ANC might end up paying dearly for this and paying lip service to its principle of non-racialism. Joining me now is Dion Lowe, who has taken up the question and as part of an initiative around penning an open letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa. Mr. Liu, thank you so much for joining me here on The Fix. Why are you unhappy with the African National Congress's National Disciplinary Committee decision headed up by Nomvula Mokonyane? They asked that he apologized. He has apologized. What else do you want, sir?
Good morning, Karima, and blessed morning to your viewers as well. Well, Karima, one, you cannot have a principle in a party that says they are the leader of society, point number one. Point number two, they advance programs of social integration and racial integration. And then you have a fellow who makes a false apology, with meaningless apology, and then it is accepted as gospel truth. Point number one, the Provincial Executive Committee and the Provincial Disciplinary Committee in the Free State found the man guilty of bringing the ANC into disrepute with his racist remarks, right? They then suspended him, but the National Executive Committee, which is the highest decision-making body between conferences, Karima, then decides, listen, it is okay for this man to insult people. And it's a pity your club, Karima, you don't play it further because he goes to extents where he says they need to be scoped and donored. I mean, you tell me, Karima, from where me and you are sitting at the moment, telling a section of your society that they need to be scoped and donored, a section of the society that is already feeling neglected so much. You can go to any colored area throughout South Africa. The decay in terms of service delivery, the unemployment, you know, and then you get the ruling party, the mayor of a ruling party, still making such derogatory remarks and then claims that he has apologized. And I'll tell you more things as this interview goes on.
Now, you have in your letter to President Ramaphosa said that we therefore request a review of the National Disciplinary Action Committee's decision, the removal of Mr. Spielman, who by his actions is deemed unfit for public office, and disciplinary action to be taken against Mr. Hendrik Mini. Now, tell me, sir, have you heard anything from the office of Cyril Ramaphosa, the President?
One, no. I haven't heard anything from Comrade President Cyril Ramaphosa, but the Deputy Secretary General, Comrade Jessie Duarte, has acknowledged receipt of the letter, and she said to me it will be taken up in the NEC as well as the National Working Committee.
Now,
that is one.
For our viewers, just remind them exactly what the mayor said and why are people so offended. He also referred to the community in a particularly derogatory way, if I'm not mistaken. Just take us back so that people can understand the context in which you feel that the decision of the ANC amounts to accepting a racist back into its ranks.
Karima, when lockdown started, right, the president deployed soldiers to different areas of our country, right? And this particular section of the soldiers were deployed in Welkom, right? And there is the area in Welkom is called Bronville. It's the former colored area in Welkom. And this guy, who is the mayor of this town, then said to the soldiers that when they get to Bronville, this Bushmankies, and I find it personally, as a person who grew up, you'll see, I've mentioned it in the letter to the president, that as a person who grew up in a so-called colored area, if the shoe was on the other foot and any colored person used the K word, all hell was going to break loose, Karima.
Now, I see that you refer also to
Everybody
the
was going
racist...
to have hell to pay.
Yes.
Here we have, let me give you an example, a quick example, Karima. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. Dion, I'm going to allow
Penny.
you. Yes, I was actually going to come to that. You make reference in your letter to the racist Penny Sparrow, who, of course, used the K word and was criminally prosecuted. And you, of course, saying that the... abuse from Mr. Speelman is the equivalent of what Penny Sparrow has said. Apart from the president of the African National Congress, who else are you taking this matter to? And more importantly, are you considering laying criminal charges against Mr. Speelman?
Criminal charges has been laid already by sections of the community in Bronville. They have laid criminal charges. The matter is on the roll for the 1st of October this year. The matter is also with the Human Rights Commission in South Africa, who are also dragging their feet, and I don't know why, and addressing this matter. But we will be making follow-ups. There has been, if you go onto social media, there has been a campaign running against Speelman, and I don't understand. For the ANC, and as a member of the ANC, an activist of the ANC, you'll see I'm saying we cannot be seen of jumping from the one crisis to the other every time. On this side, we are sitting with our own members doing corruption of PPE and so on and so forth. And on this time, we need to deal with a reprobate who's racist towards section of the community that are already being marginalized, And then you still have to deal with such things. It is uncalled for, really, in the ANC. I have written this letter.
What I want to understand, Dion, Mr. Liu, let me understand. You belong to an organization that adopted a principle of non-racialism at its founding. It's part of how the ANC defines itself. It says South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. It will not accept people into its ranks that uses the K word. It comes out against racism. But in this instance, when a particular section of the community is referred to in a derogatory way, as Mr. Speelman did, the processes of the organization that you belong to excuses that behavior on the basis that he makes an apology. How do you find yourself, comfortable with the African National Congress, given that what you clearly state in your letter is, different strokes for different folks, actually?
Karima, hence the letter was written, to take it up and for it to be taken, to be addressed at the highest level of the organization. It cannot be that the one person is treated with kid gloves and the other one is getting a lashing with a whip, Speelman, one, the ANC needs to get rid of him ASAP. Two, the ANC that I belong to, the ANC that I was schooled in, believes in non-racialism. Yes, you have the odd member like Speelman who does these things, but it can never be condoned, Karima. And I will not rest. I will not sleep until the ANC, in particular in my home province, the Free State, where this guy, and what is so painful, Karima, about this whole situation is that the very same area that is making reference to, it is an area where the ANC receives 90% of support, election in and election out.
But then why do you take this abuse from an organization that is clearly not interested in whether this community was offended or not? They believe the matter has been resolved. You saying that the community votes for the ANC, the numbers are, double-figured. These are supporters of an organization. Why would you continue to be part of an organization that clearly doesn't believe that the principle of non-racialism applies here?
No. Karima, let me just correct you quickly there. It is not the ANC, it is an individual.
But it's the ANC, but it's the ANC's National Disciplinary Committee that the appeals committee that allowed him to get away with what many would say is a slap on the wrist when other people are being criminally pursued for racist utterances. I mean, it is essentially saying to you that they don't regard this as a very serious matter.
Let me just. It's a pity I didn't send you the letter from Nomvula Mkonyane, in which she says that this guy is being excused and so on. The letter was written. She uses the Hendrik Mini, who is the head of minorities in the Free State. Now, this Hendrik Mini fellow, who apparently forgave Spielman, is a man of the cloth, a pastor, right? Now, this pastor wrote in his personal capacity, apparently in his personal capacity, forgiving Spielman. But Hendrik Mini, let's go back and check who is Hendrik Mini.
Before we go into
any
of those details, I am perplexed by the fact that the ANC has a head of minorities in the Free State. I mean, I've never heard of it in my life before. And I think I've been covering the African National Congress for a very long time. What exactly does this head of minorities do? And who is a minority? I don't understand.
I also want to know, Karima, and I've written to the provincial secretary, Paseka Nompondo, to ask him what is it that the head of minorities do, because I, for one, don't consider myself as a minority. The only majority in this country is females, whom we celebrate this month. I don't regard myself as a minority, nor do I regard anybody else as a minority.
So have you raised this question? Mr. Liu, just give me an opportunity. In the correspondence with the President, have you asked him what is the head of minorities in an organization that has as its founding principle the issue of non-racialism? It's a contradiction in terms.
No, exactly, Karima. No, unfortunately I haven't. You know, I was so enraged with this whole thing that Comrade Nomvula and the committee of which the Minister of Justice sits on it also, I saw the other day. They find this man not guilty and allow him to continue with his job, you know, and the worst of it all, he even survived the motion of no confidence during the week. I would love to know exactly what is it that the head of minorities does in the Free State.
Okay, we will be sure to put that question to the African National Congress. In fact, I think it would be prudent for us to get them onto the fix to explain how an organization that professes to be non-racial ends up with the head of minorities in the Free State. That was, of course, Dion Liu, an ANC member there, who has penned a letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa following racial slurs that have been used by Mr. Spielman, who is, of course, the mayor of Bronville. Up next, why is it so difficult to open up certain sectors of the economy safely and profitably? We'll be speaking with economist Dr. Neva Makgetla. Stay with us.